Welcome to the fourth episode of the What's Your Story podcast. Who do we have here today? Introduce yourself.
My name is Jacob Taylor. I am the first counselor in the bishopric
Yes.
here at the YSA 24.
Okay, so we're just going to learn all about Jacob today. It's called What's Your Story for a reason, so we're going to dive right in and just get to know who you are. So I have a bunch of questions for you, and we'll just dive into that.
Sweet.
So my first question, basically, what's your story? Give us a little background.
So I moved to North Ogden in about 2007. I was born in Logan, Utah. I lived there for a little bit of time. And then after about a year or so, my family moved out to Roy. I lived in Roy for 7 years at the beginning of my life. And then moved to North Ogden. I went to Bates Elementary. Then after that, I went to North Ogden Junior High. Then I went to Weber High. So I've been around North Ogden for a long time. And then I went on a mission to Argentina, Buenos Aires South. And then I came home, and now I've been here doing Weber State School since 2020. So yeah.
When do you graduate?
Should be 2024 spring semester. If everything goes according to plan, if everything works out. So it's looking like 2024.
I know we've talked about what you were studying before, but that was a long time ago.
Economics.
So what are you studying now?
I'm getting a major in economics, and I'm minoring in entrepreneurship.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What is your goal with that?
I really would like to run my own business someday. Like, I don't really like working for the man, per se.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, And I like data. Like, data's my friend. I've always find just happiness and peace in data. Like, as weird as that sounds, but it's like you can't argue with facts. Like, and it's all right there. Like, numbers don't lie. Like, they can be forged, but when you have a pure, forum or anything that has been done correctly, you have the data backing anything you say, and it is truth and right there. And I've always loved that because I don't know, with a lot of things in life, it feels like they come and go and it's all opinion based. But when it comes to data and facts, what's standing for, you can't, lie about it. So that's why I like economics. So I'd like to be some sort of analyst or anything where I can just help company, analyze their data and help them improve their certain product or working style, how their entire business is being run. And that's why I'm doing the minor in entrepreneurship as well. So kind of cover all bases with that. So yeah.
I took a data analytics class in college, and I agree with you. Like, I was a journalist, so communication and my emphasis was journalism, and it's just all about like getting rid of bias and just clean and pure. But also my mind does not work in numbers, so that's really cool that your mind does that. Yeah. Can we go back to your mission for a second?
Yeah.
So you said you served in Argentina. Tell us an experience that you had in Argentina that increased your faith in God.
Definitely, there's a lot. I think I had to really learn to just know that the gospel was true for myself. It was extremely hard being there because there was so much religion everywhere.
Really?
Like, there was just evangelic churches. There was this church called Umbandas that would cut chickens up and bathe in their blood.
Oh my goodness.
There was Satanism. There was Christianity everywhere, right? And I really had to make sure I was doing what I knew was right, because I left when I was 18. I get there and I'm just this random boy from Utah across the world, just in Argentina, walking down this dirt road. And I put it in perspective for myself, and I just think, I gotta know this is true. Like, really quickly you start to realize, oh my gosh, what is life? Like, I'm an 18-year-old who's been hanging out with friends, playing video games, playing zombies forever. And then now it's time for me to make sure the gospel's true. It's like, and it hit me like a truck. But I never wanted to come home. Never. Like, I distilled in my mind the fact of when I was a boy, what it was going to look like for me being on the mission. Like, I was going to finish it. And, sometimes maybe I should have said, all right, that's enough. But I think the Lord really helped me through the entire thing. And I prayed day and night to find my testimony, and yeah, I eventually did. It was something I can't deny anymore, so it's there.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How has that experience continued with you now, years later?
It's definitely like fortified everything I do. So I learned a crucial point in my life right there that like so whenever we go through a doubt, whenever we go through a hard thing, we have two options of like anything that could happen to us. We either fall to it, we give up, we believe in the doubt, we let all of what lie that may be that Satan's telling us, we let that idea, that fear, whatever it is, we let it overtake us and we fall to it. And, nobody likes that because we all want to be the best version of ourselves. So we know that does not come through falling to doubts. And so, or we can take the second option, which is to rise above it, to figure it out. And because, I doubted so heavily, is this church even true? Like, is Joseph Smith some crazy kid who prayed and he says he saw things and now we all believe off of his crazy story? Like, is that true? Like, there's polygamy, that was weird. There was blacks in the priesthood, that was weird. Like, what the heck? And I really had to come to terms with all that through pray and study and finding the right answers. And because I overcame those doubts, I don't doubt anymore. And my testimony sits strong on the fact of the witness I received from the Holy Ghost, because that is a sure witness. That's a factual witness. Like, the thing about the Spirit is when that witness hits you, you can't say, "Oh, that was just myself making myself feel really happy," because you can't fake peace. It's impossible. Like, you can put substitutes in the world that, like, give you momentary quietness, momentary, feelings of relaxation, but there's always some things sitting at the back of your mind. Like, that's not, like, the world can't give you real peace. And that's what I found when I found my answers was the peace from the Holy Spirit. That's how I know that the things that are in the church are true. And I carry that with me daily. So back to answer your question, I realized, we have two options when we face those obstacles. We overcome them or they overtake us. I'd much rather prefer the latter. So
How, for people listening, how do we overcome them? Like, we talk about things all the time, but like
yeah.
in church, but how do we overcome those doubts?
Yeah. It's definitely hard.
Yeah.
Like, every person has a individual battle that they really have to make. Like, I think that's what's so special about this life is we all have our opportunities to grow and to face the hand tuned trials that have been placed in our lives, right? When you wake up in the morning and um, you get out of bed, right? You try to grab your towel, it falls on the ground. You have to bend over, pick it back up. You try to walk through the door doesn't close. You hit your head on the door, like you hit your head on the handle. Like, it just, and within 10 seconds of your morning, it already feels like everything's going wrong, right? With that, small things like that bear testimony to me that our life has been set up in such a way that we have very specific trials, doubts, anything that are made to make us stronger. And the thing that I found when going through these doubts and things is, first off, you sit on what you know is true, right? This gospel is true. Let's say you're going through a hard time with your family. I mean, I've had plenty of those. You find those that in your family that you can trust. And if you can't find them, Christ is your family still. You can always trust Him. So we have to first find things that we can rely upon. Hold to those, especially hold to Christ. Hold to Him first, because if we hold to Him, that's when the atonement can take effect. Because anything after the point of us trusting in God, anything that comes after that is all going to be blessings received from Him if we just hold out through faith in Him. Because I was actually talking about this earlier with my girlfriend when we were chatting about making hard choices in life, right? Whether it's to maybe you need to stay here and do a calling and not go to college. Maybe it's to get married to somebody you don't know if is right. Maybe it's to handful of things in life. But when we first act with faith, that's when God is able to bless us. Is taking that first step, and the first step is always the hardest part because it's with the most doubt, it's with the most fear. We never know what's going to happen, but as we're able to do that, the trials can become easier. And as we act in faith, that's when it all becomes a lot more doable.
And I think that's the part that's exciting. Like, we don't know the ending, and that just leaves so much room for God to do his work
Yeah.
and his thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just from like one of my first impressions from you. I think that the words that come to mind when I think of you are, let's see, leader. I think you are a very good leader, and then also an excellent speaker. So we'll talk about the leader part first. So, what does it mean to be a leader for you? Because I can tell that you work on it, or at least it's a part of your
I'm
life.
still trying to figure it out, honestly.
What have you figured
Um,
out so far?
Being a leader is hard because you have a lot of people looking at you,
Yeah.
right? Like there's even some days where I wouldn't even call myself a leader because you know, like for example, I go driving on the road and I'm like, I like to listen to rap music, and like certain songs come on and you start to listen to the lyrics, you're like, "Oh, I can't listen to that, so you gotta turn it off." Like
Yeah.
being leader requires you to just be to have a lot of discipline because you know that there's gonna be people looking at you. You know that there's you want to, and I genuinely want to look like I want people to see Christ when they look at me. I want people to feel Christ when I talk to them. I want people to feel the love that I have for them when I talk to them. And I think being a leader requires that first unselfish desire. Because I honestly, I get put in these leadership callings, and a lot of people want to the world tells you like, oh, get as big as you can be, get as much money as you can be, tell everybody how successful you are, but that's not what we believe in the church. We believe in the church being a leader is being humble, it's being submissive. Like I just see myself as like a servant in the hands of the Lord that I can do those things that He needs me to get done, and He can trust me to do that because I know that by putting myself in that position to be a leader, to purely help out of humility instead of out of pride, instead of anything like that, and vain ambition, I know I'm going to receive the most blessings that way, and so that's why I do that. Is because that's the example that Christ taught us. So yeah.
Do you have a role model in your life that, like when you were younger, taught you about how to be a leader, or someone that you look up to?
Um, yeah, definitely. My dad was somebody I looked to a lot when I started as a kid. Like I saw how he interacted with people, and I really liked how he was friendly with them, and he really just kind of showed up for him. But when I got to my mission, that's when I really started to understand what being a leader meant. And I had a really cool zone leader who his name was Elder Shepherd, and man, you could talk to that guy, and you just felt amazing. Like I hadn't even known him for a day, and I thought like he was my brother, like my best friend, and I got to do some exchanges with him one day, and like we go walking down the street, and we see like four people he doesn't even know, like all these awesome Latinos, and he starts chatting with them, and before you know it, they're just talking about like anything. They're all smiling, laughing, hugging, and like, all right, see ya. And we just go about our day. I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like,
I
there's not
love
even
that.
drugs or anything here, and everybody's so happy to be with each other. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is genuine. And I thought, and I pulled him aside. I said, Elder Shepherd, why does everybody love you so much? This is weird. Like, I've never seen anybody just grapple with people like you. And he took me aside and said, well, first, thank you, Elder Kid. He said every single night he prayed to be given the gift of charity, because that's the one gift that we can only receive through prayer. Because in Moroni 8 it says if you pray unceasingly for the gift of charity, it'll be bestowed upon you.
That's so
And he
cool.
said that's what he did every single night before he went to bed, and every morning he woke up. And that's what I've tried to do when I can remember to do it is pray for that charity because that just makes you shine in people's eyes, like because it's the pure love of Christ and people feel it.
Have you seen those prayers working in your life, like God blessing you with charity?
Oh yeah, there's some days where I just like everybody has them. I'm not any different, but you have those days when someone comes up to talk to you, you're just like, I've got 1,000 things going on
I
in my
have those
life.
days.
Like I don't like. Frankly, you just don't want to listen sometimes. Frankly, sometimes you're just like, I want to go home and lay in bed and watch a show. Like I don't want to help people with their problems, right? Like everybody has those days. But then I that's in those moments, I pray a little harder for that gift of charity, and that's when I see it taking action in my life. Is when you can, for some reason, now listen to them. You can hear them out. You can have more genuine interest in their life, and I think that's where I've seen it take place the most is when I'm just speaking with people because people just need someone to listen. Yeah.
So now going to speaking, what was my question? So yeah, I wrote down, you are an excellent speaker. How do you cultivate that?
Thanks.
Because you really are. You have this like aura of confidence and like you don't even care. And you don't look scared. Like from someone who really like wants to cultivate that in my life, I just notice it in other people.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That means a lot because that's something I've really tried to work on a lot because I think I was a little kid one time and I gave one of those 2-minute talks in sacrament meeting. I read it off and I went and sat back down. And then you just got somebody to sit down, and I was just like, man. And I just started to think like I'm like 14 years old. I should have given a better talk than that. And I was like, okay. And so by the time I got on my mission, I realized like the power of your word and what you can say to people like really can move them. And I found the key to doing it was just being genuine when you speak, like having no false image up, right? I know some people like say, "Oh, watch what you say here. Don't reveal too much here." I truly believe that if you can be as genuine as you can with people, then they really can make a connection with you. And it's not something that's faked, right? It's something that you're talking about in your life. Like when I give a talk, I talk about things that are going on in my life, and the Lord supplies me with enough trials that I can keep sharing them. But like I've just found that I can really touch people when I have that opportunity to speak. Like you can share scriptures, you can share insights about your life, right? And everybody has such a different perspective on First Nephi chapter 2 when they're leaving into the desert, right? Everybody who's ever read that chapter ever is going through a certain thing in their life that's making their brain analyze that passage of scripture in a certain way. So you never know what perspective somebody's going to have on that. Like I would never undermine, like if whoever's listening, like your own capability to give a perspective that somebody needs to hear right now. Because maybe you've been through that. Like maybe you've been through something really stinking hard and you can share that with people. Maybe they might not need it now, but at one point in their life they're going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what you can say, no matter what you have the ability to say, just make it genuine because people connect to that way more than some crazy story or some like whatever you speak on, make it you. Like, and at the end of the day, none of us are perfect, so who cares? Like, I know it's a lot easier said than done. Like, we like to have our image and we like to have our facade sometimes, like, make ourselves look okay. But heck, sometimes you just gotta tell people, I'm not okay right now. And, really, because people care, they want to listen to you. Like, they want to hear your thing, and there's power in listening as there is just talking sometimes.
That's the reason behind this podcast. Like this podcast is about being real and breaking down that facade and helping people realize that the person right in front of you is just like you. They're just going through different things. So I really love that you said that. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up soon, but I just have a couple questions for you. So what is exciting about your life right now?
My life right now. Oh, what isn't exciting about my life right now?
I love that. Love that answer.
Do you care if I say like the real things?
Yeah.
Because I'll give you the whole spectrum. I'll give you the really bad things.
You can say anything. Right, I just said you were talking about being vulnerable.
Yeah.
So be vulnerable.
Okay, I'll give you the really bad things in my life right now. And I'll give you the really good ones.
Okay.
The really bad ones. Should I start with the really bad ones?
Whatever works.
Okay, I'll start with the really bad ones.
Okay.
Recent year ago, my parents divorced, and that was really hard on my whole family. That made it that really split us up in a way that we haven't really seen before, and it made us really need to rely on one another. Like I've gone closer with my siblings in ways I've never seen before, and I've been able to see the blessings through that. So, and then my dad divorced. So my mom divorced my dad. I'm living with my dad right now, and then my dad remarried about a month after the divorce got filed, and now recently the month passed, he just had another divorce from that same woman. And so that's a bunch of crazy stuff going on in my life right now.
It's very crazy.
And um, we're trying to help him the best we can, but he's a whole another side project, my dad, but I still love him to death. And then I'm trying to get on top of school because those classes are really hard right now because I'm such near the end of that degree. I started a new job at Zions Bank.
Yay!
Yeah, if anybody needs a credit card or something.
I need a credit card.
Use code Jake. But yeah, I've enjoyed that. There's just pros and cons to everything. Like I said earlier, I want my own business. I just hate working for somebody because you just see a process and you're like, this process stinks.
Could be so much better.
Much more free thinking than this. But there's a lot of things that you don't know that they know and you need to learn. So
true.
And then I guess the really good thing in my life right now is my wonderful girlfriend. We've been dating for about almost 10 months now.
Wow.
And yeah, and she's awesome, and I'm probably looking to propose here soon. So
wow, yeah. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's been quite an adventure, and like just to wrap it all into one big circle, like I still have doubts about everything going on in life, right? But that's what life is about, is pushing through the doubts when it comes. And because you're never going to become stronger, you're never going to grow if you don't get it singled out your whole life. And I've just learned every single day, push through the doubt, keep going, like don't stop. You have because it's like, and you remember like stories when you're a kid, right? There's always the dragon that guards the gold, right?
Yeah.
And writers often use that because it is great symbolism. Because usually the dragon represents everything scary that we must overcome in life. The dragon represents the fear, it represents the torment, the doubt, everything hard. But what is it guarding? Everything that our heart desires. The gold. In this case, the dragon and the gold, it's wealth. But in our scenario, I'd say the dragon is Satan. And what he's guarding is everything that we are meant to be. Everything that we can become. And so we must overcome that dragon if we want to find the said gold.
That's good.
That's really good symbolism.
I never thought about that. I don't know why.
Yeah, but yeah, push through it because there's a lot of good in life. You just gotta look at it because Satan likes to put all the crap and put it right there, but you just gotta look at the good.
Changing our perspectives.
Definitely. Like I would say in my life, I've got every reason to call myself a victim. Like, oh, my parents divorced, and like, oh, this person, I went through this trial. Like, oh, this person said this to me, but it's like, dude, at the end of the day, it's me, and I control everything that goes on in my life. Whether it be somebody that interacted with me, and they said something, it's my decision to internalize that, to let it in, or just put it out. Sorry to go off topic there with what's crazy in life, but I mean that would be what's crazy in life for me, is overcoming all those thoughts and all those ideas.
Well, that was my question. I said one piece of advice you'd give us, and you kind of said that press forward.
Talk to people. That's a huge one. Like if you feel like people aren't even listening, I don't care. Talk to people, because you're gonna find someone that genuinely listens. And every time that we talk to somebody, we feel like they don't listen. Oh, they're listening a lot more than you think. Because really people care. And maybe it's a hard time for them too, and you tried talking to them and they didn't listen really well. But I feel like sometimes we really just need to feel listened to, and sometimes we just need to listen. And that would be my biggest advice. Look for somebody to listen to and genuinely talk to somebody. Because man, that goes for miles and it doesn't stop. So
Well, thank you so much. This was such a good conversation. I can't help, like, I love interviewing in the bishop's office because the person I'm interviewing is right behind or right in front of Jesus.
Yeah.
So I catch him just like looking at him. And it's just a good reminder that, like, it's just cool how you're talking about emanating Christ and how I think Christ is always behind us, just rooting us on. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You are really amazing, and I'm so excited for you to propose to your girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm excited too. She's great. She's awesome. She's did everything.
Well, anything else you'd like to say before you wrap up?
Get your temple recommend, everybody. Honestly, like that's the big thing. Like there was a Area 70 that quizzed me one time. He said, "Elder Kid, do you know how to tell the most active members in the ward?" And I said, "How?" It's like those that have the temple recommends. And so I would always stress, get the temple recommend if it's not there, because that's the key to heaven right there. Like you hold the temple recommend, you're good for the gates, man. Like do whatever. And if you don't have it, it's not a bad thing. Like there are people who can't answer certain questions, who can't do certain things right now. That's what the atonement is for. You go through the repentance process. It's the most amazing thing in the world. I've been through the repentance process 1,000 times. Like it is so worth it. Like a little chat with the bishop to be able to hold the temple recommend. Man, I will vouch on that till day one. That's the best piece of thing that the church, sells on because it's facts. Like you hold temple recommend, you can answer those questions. You're set for blessings in life. So.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Okay, we'll end it there. Okay, till next time. See ya.